Hello, sisters. Sorry I'm a little late. I was trying to get myself together. And I'm still kind of trying to get myself together. For this video that I've been putting off for a very long time. Because I needed to really get my mind right to do it. But I think I'm ready to do it now. So some of you all may have seen my video the other day. I had a rough day the other day, but thanks to Renee and a few other ladies, Miss Ruby and oh my god, another sister. Oh my god, what is her name? I see the name, but I'm trying to remember how to pronounce it. Anyway, I've had greetings, Mama Carol. I've had a few sisters reach out to me, encouraging me, and I really appreciate it because this is a tough thing to do. I want to wait and see if I can get a few ladies to come on, because this video it means a lot to me. This will kind of be like a good event session that I needed to have a long time coming, and kind of a release session for me, and also getting some the ladies who are in this group can get some understanding of how things work and the hospital situation there, and just giving my experience. I spent a month in the hospital, so I had an experience. But I'm gonna wait and see if we get a few other ladies to come on before I get started, because I know once a live feed starts, it's hard to kind of know what's going on when you come in the middle of it. Renee knows that this been I went through a lot with this situation, so it took me a long time to even talk about it. I was gonna do a video on my YouTube channel, but I decided against it. I think it's more of a more intimate type of conversation for me to have. I think it'll best serve my sisters here in this group. Also, I'll be able to talk about the reasons why we came up with the idea to do the sister care project that we're working on. Shout out to Sister Ya, who is actually looking into purchasing some bed sheets for our project. Thank you so much, Sister Ya. I really, really, really appreciate it. She found someone who could give us a good deal. So if you would be interested in helping her or helping us with this project, just let us know so we can start collecting items for the project. And throughout this video, you'll probably hear a few of the things that we'll need that are a necessity for the bags, things that we need to put in there. One of the things I know we were both funny thing was we were both looking into looking at the Dollar Tree. The Dollar Tree has a lot of those little like travel size things like toothpaste and deodorant and stuff like that. And I think that would be a good little package to put together, to put in the bag with the sheets and a few other things that we need, so we can make it a really nice bag and try to make it cost effective too. I'm still trying to find a place to make the bags and put our little logo on it, and so it can actually be something that we can be proud of. So as a few other ladies come on to the live feed, just letting you guys know that I'm trying to wait to see if I can get a few ladies to come on. I'll give a few more minutes. Good morning, or good afternoon. It's afternoon now. Trying to see if I can get a few other ladies on. I see Kai is joined, Mama Edith is joined, I got Mama Carol. So we'll see if we can get a few ladies. I don't want to start without having a few ladies, so we don't have too many people who are kind of coming in the mist. But I was talking about the bags for Sister Care. I'm looking at a couple of companies. If you all know any black owned businesses that make bags or print on bags, that could possibly print our logo on a bag, I would love to do that, because I want us to do this project, and I'm hoping that it'll grow into something that we can continuously do together. But it was basically birthed out of my experience. Thanks to Renee. Shout out Renee for coming up with this idea. She was there with me and experienced the whole pretty much chaotic the chaos of trying to come up with all of these things in an emergency situation, and not really knowing what you need, and kind of going through it, learning as you go. So anywho, so I'll just go ahead and get started, because the video will be posted and people will be able to go ahead and look at it later on. Back in February of 2016, I was pregnant with my small girl, and I was due for the end of March. So I was kind of pushing it, but I found out how late I could fly, and I was trying to stay in Ghana until the very last moment they'll let me fly. So I booked my flight for literally like the week that they would let me fly. The last week they would let me fly pregnant. Renee warned me so many times, Bakita, you need to leave early, you need to leave earlier, you need to leave earlier. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. I'm going to wait until the last minute and then I'll go. I'll be okay. And she's like, I got a feeling you're going to end up having this baby here because you playing. And I'm like, no, I'm not playing. I'm going to leave. Then I decided I was going to bump my ticket up further so that I could, leave a little earlier. Well, that didn't happen. On February the 2nd, got my kids up to go to school, had everybody up for school, and as they're getting ready for school, I went to the bathroom as normal in the morning, and when I got to the bathroom, there was some blood, and I was like, okay, that's never happened to me before, so I was really scared, but I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna trip. I'm gonna calm myself down. So I got myself together, got the kids off to school, sat there for a minute, waited for my mom to come up to the front of the house. And once she came up, I didn't want to wake her up and scare her and all of that stuff or whatever, so I waited for her to get up and come to the front. It's normal for her to not take too long, because she usually tries to see the kids out of the house. So she came up and I told her, I was like, Mom, I'm having some bleeding. I think I need to go to the doctor. We gotta go to the doctor. It's like 6 in the morning. The doctor, I get to the doctor, there's nobody there except like a skeleton crew, of course, and the nurse is like, oh, you need to go to Corlebu. Corlebu is the closest hospital to us then, well, the closest big hospital to us then there, and it's the closest public hospital. So she's like, go to Corlebu. So I go to Corlebu, do everything that I'm supposed to do, pay my little money, get my little everything. And long story short, after I see the doctor at Corlebu, they're telling me that I have placenta previa major and I needed to go. I needed to stay in the hospital until I had the baby. So I'm like, no, I'm going home. I'm going home to my house. I'm going to rebook my ticket right now, and I'll get on the plane tomorrow and just go ahead and go back to the U.S. And they're like, no. So let me explain what placenta previa is for those who may not know. I know we have a lot of nurses here, but we have a lot of people who may not know what placenta previa is. What happens is the placenta is in the way of the it's blocking the cervix. So there was no way for there would have been no way for the baby to exit, and it put me at risk to bleed because of the major. They call it major because my placenta was completely covering my cervix. So I was at risk for literally like bleeding out at any moment. So that's why they wanted to put me in the hospital. So I got nervous and by now it's like 9 o'clock, and finally I decided to message Renee. I messaged Renee, and Renee is like, okay, wait a minute. She's like, I told you you needed to leave. So I'm like, yeah, but I haven't left, so what do we do now? And now I'm all hysterical crying. It was a hot mess. So after talking to another doctor, they said no, they couldn't give me permission to get on the plane because the altitude alone could make me bleed, that I could possibly die before I even got to America. So I called Renee, of course, crying, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? She's like, where are you? And I'm telling her I'm at Corlebu. She's like, no, you don't need to be at Corlebu. You need to get out of there. Go to 37 and I'll meet you there. So I left Corlebu. By the time I left Corlebu and got to 37, she was there. Like literally while I was getting ready to check in, Renee walked into the triage area, or what we would call the triage area. She walked into the triage area, and as soon as I saw her, I just broke down into itty bitty pieces. It was so much of a relief to have someone else, because my mom is there, of course, but she has no idea how to get around, what to do, how to do it, none of these things. So to have a sister who's been there, done that, she's had a baby in Ghana before, she it's been a long time, but she's done it before, so she was able to be there for me. And then to have another healthcare advocate who actually works in healthcare and understands how things work, that was a whole other plus. So I'm getting checked in and everything, and at this point they're telling me I can't go home until I have the baby. I'm freaking out because I am so not prepared for this. I was prepared to come back to America and have my baby and everything was going to be cool. Now I'm worried about, oh my God, where am I going to get the money to pay to stay in the hospital for 1 month? And they're telling me I have to have a cesarean section. Mind you, I just had a baby 2 years prior. So I remember seeing my insurance bill. You know, they send you that thing, this is not a bill. But it cost like $18,000 for me to have my baby here. And all I could think about is, oh my God, and I didn't even have surgery. So now I'm freaking out because I don't know what I'm gonna do. How am I gonna pay for everything? My husband was in America. So this was just, it was completely crazy. Again, shout out to Renee for having my back. So I get checked in, and now I realize that because of my situation, I could not have a private room. So, you know, I've had 2 children prior to this, so I'm used to having a private room, and you know, I've never been in a ward before. Never been in a ward before. So that was an experience in itself. So in my ward, I was in a room with 8 other women. There were 9 beds. So it was 8 other women in my ward. We were all high risk situations. So when I was brought into the room, the nurse makes an announcement to the room, hey, you know, you all know that you all have to watch out for each other. So if this lady goes into the bathroom and she's in there more than 15 minutes, someone needs to go and check on her. And they gave me a whole list of rules of what to do, what not to do. When I was taking a shower, I wasn't to block the door so that no one could enter. The door needed to be where someone could push it open if something happened. So that was the first shock. So I'm in a room with 8 other very high risk pregnant women. It's not gonna be fun. At least I'm gonna be there for a month. Then I found out there was a lady who had been there already for like 3 months, another one who had been there for like 4 months. Oh my God, it was crazy. And they still wouldn't let me get a private room. I begged for a private room, but they was like, no, you need to be where someone could help you. So now the issue was, what do I need? I needed bed sheets. I needed everything. The only thing they supplied was the bed. So my mom and Renee, while I was getting checked in, or I was already checked in, but my mom and Renee went and got my sheets, a pillow. They got me a bucket to wash in. Got my bucket, some soap to bathe with, some soap to wash my clothes with, because yes, I washed my own clothes in the bathroom, in the shower. Yeah. Even though my mom came every day, you know, I have to wash my underwear out. So my mom would take home she would take home my dirty clothes, but every day I would wash out my underwear, and I'm in the shower. I know Cinderella, right? What the fuck? But so yeah, they brought, what else did I have? They had to bring me they had to bring me my little Wi-Fi. I had what did I have? Surfline. So they brought me my little Surfline Wi-Fi so I could have some way to entertain myself. And I'll think of some other stuff that they had to bring me. But while I was sitting waiting for them, because they also went to bring me some food back, I'm watching the news, and the news is showing that Corlebu, the place that I was at, had to close down several of their wards, and the maternity ward was one of them. So again, shout out to Renee for telling me to get the hell from over there, because I don't even know how they would have been able to take care of me for that long, for a month, and they didn't have a ward for me, so, or for us. So me going to 37 was the best thing for me to do. And when I say 37, I'm saying 37 military hospital. Although it's a military hospital, in the last few years they started taking civilians. So also, one of the reasons why it was important for me to be at either 37 or Corlebu is because if I started to bleed, I would have needed blood. And one of the first things they asked me for when I was checking in, they were saying that I needed to have a friend or family member come and give blood. And I was like, well, what if they don't match? What if we don't match? So Della, which hospital are you saying that you thought was the best? Corlebu? Corlebu is a teaching hospital. It's a good facility. But at that time, they were having, like our public hospitals here, they were having some financial issues, and they had to pick and choose what they needed to keep and what they needed to get rid of. In the maternity ward, another surgical, they had to close down a few of their surgical wards. I don't know if they're still closed, but they did close them down for a while. It was definitely the time that I was in the hospital. Corlebu didn't have those wards open. But the reason why I needed to be at either Corlebu or 37 was if I needed blood. All of the hospitals in Ghana, they may be great, but not all of them have blood banks. So 37 and Corlebu are the places that do have blood banks. And like I was saying, they asked me to have a friend or family member to give blood while I before it was time for me to give birth, because if I needed blood, I would get it, but they told me that I wouldn't be able to leave the hospital until somebody brought blood to replace the blood that I used. So it's kind of like they try to make sure that they always have a certain amount of blood in reserve, so everybody who could potentially need it has to get some in to replace what they may use. It made sense, but I was like, dang, y'all won't let me leave. So they was like, no, you won't be able to leave until somebody comes and brings some blood. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, y'all really gonna keep me here? Yeah. So but so like, even if I would have gone to one of the private hospitals that have all of these, because there are some very nice facilities in Ghana, but they're privately owned and they don't have blood banks. They would have had to send out they would have to send out to either Corlebu or to 37 to get the blood if I needed it. And who wants to wait for them to find some blood when I could be dying. No, thank you. I'll just go to where the blood is already on reserve and we'll stay there. Because my husband was trying to get me to move to, I can't remember the name. It was a hospital that Renee was telling me about that he was trying to get me to go there. But when I found out about the whole blood thing, I was like, no, I'm going to stay my ass right here. Because they would need to call over here to get blood if I need it. So, that's was one of the biggest things for me, was that if I needed blood, they would give it to me, but they wasn't going to let me go home if nobody that none of my friends or family actually brought me some blood. So okay, so I get checked in. I have my I got my bed sheets, I got my pillows, I got my little, they gave me a little locker, little kind of like desk like locker thing. So I had where I could store my my things at, just a little small space. And yeah, I had my bucket with my soap, my towels. Like, they didn't give me anything, so I had to literally bring everything. And there were a few other women there, so who had been there for a while, so they would give me like little pointers. Okay, like, you should get this, you should get that. So I ended up getting a thermos. They sell some really good thermoses in Ghana. You will actually see people who keep thermoses and they're not in the hospital. But got me a thermos so that I could keep my I keep me some water. Because initially, oh my God, this story about the water. So initially I was getting my water, like I had my little bag water. My mom bought me a full bag of sachet water, and I would get the lady in the cafeteria, or in the, yeah, I would guess we would call it a cafeteria, to warm my water up in the morning with everybody else. Cause I wasn't eating that food. I mean, I don't eat hospital food here, so I'm not eating no hospital food. My mom brought me food every day, which became a very expensive thing. Though I think her bringing me food every day became, and driving to pick me up, driving to see me every day, was one of the most expensive parts of the entire hospital stay. Because I lived in McCarthy Hill, and you would have to know Accra to know I was in McCarthy Hill. I lived in McCarthy Hill, but I was in the hospital at 37. So that meant that was a good trip for my mom every day. But she would go and buy me food from like Max Mart, or she would cook and bring me food that I could have for the day. Like, she would pack me food, and she did this like every day. Then I had a few sisters who knew who I felt comfortable telling that I was in the hospital, and they would come and visit me. Shout out to Naki. She was in Ghana. Just so happened she was in Ghana while I was in the hospital. And in between all her busyness of Ghana, she came and checked on me. Mama Sophia came to check on me. She brought me some eucalyptus Bath and Body Works cream. So some good relaxing cream. Renee came at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. Of course, my mom came every day. Some of my in-laws would come and visit me. But I was there for a month, so It was a very interesting thing. So with the water, I didn't have a kettle. I didn't have a kettle at first. So I was getting the lady in the cafeteria to warm up my food, warm up my my water every morning. And so one particular morning, like, it was different women every morning, but one particular morning, this lady, she came to get our water. It's like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm giving you this story because I learned a lot culturally while I was in there also, and being around a lot of Ghanaian women. So I learned a lot about how things work there. So this particular morning, I reached over, grabbed the bag of water, and I handed it to her. And okay, it took her a while to bring it back this time, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to drink my Milo so I can lay back down. I'm on bed rest. I can't do much anyway. So after that day, the lady never took my water again. So I was like, and every day she wouldn't even look at me anymore. So I'm like, what's wrong with, I was like, oh, these women, they so damn mean. Oh my God, like, what is wrong with her? So finally, I had one of the nurses to call the commander to come. He came and did rounds every morning, but that morning I missed him. Well, the next couple of mornings I missed him. I would be like either asleep or in the bathroom, or I wouldn't be right there when he would come through to check on us. But I heard that he had just went through, so I was like, yo, you need to have him come back. I need to talk to him. So I'm telling him, you know, because at this point I'm upset because I haven't had my Milo for a few mornings, and that was really all I was having for breakfast was some Milo until my mom got there later in the morning to bring me some food. So by this time my mom was already, she was planning to bring me a kettle that day, but my attitude was just not in favor of dealing with that bullshit that morning. So I'm telling him the story, and the girl next to me, she understood English. Now mind you, there was only one woman in the room with me who understood English real good. Everybody else spoke either tree or ga, and I didn't speak either one of them. I only hear small. So that was a whole other issue. So as I'm explaining what happened or whatever, the girl next to me, who was like my little, Renee had already talked to her and told her, hey, you got to look out for my girl, because she, you know, she was the only one in the room who spoke English, and she was my, basically like my bedmate or my roommate. So as I'm telling the story and I'm showing what happened, everybody in the room stopped and was like, we know what happened. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. Why is she being so mean to me? I didn't do anything to her. I just want some water for my fucking Milo. The lady says, you gave it to her with your left hand. I said, really? I gave it to her with my, yeah. Damn, I did. I was like, but I didn't mean nothing by it. Like, she know I'm a foreigner. Why didn't she just say, hey, what's up? Like, she could have straightened me and I would have apologized. But instead of her straightening me, she just walked with an attitude every time she seen. Literally, every time she saw me, she walked with an attitude like I really insulted her, when that was not my intention. So something so subtle, this lady was walking around pissed off with me because I handed her the water with my left hand. So of course the commander was like, oh, it's a misunderstanding. I'm so sorry, Miss Muhammad. Just understand, you know, it's some cultural differences. I was like, but she could have said something. He was like, well, some people will, some people won't. He's like, some people feel like because you're here, you should know, when in all actuality, you won't know unless someone tells you. And I told him, I said, I do know, but I forgot. I wasn't thinking. And it was just easier for me to reach the water like that. So that was a whole big issue. And yes, I did show out on them people a few times. Not saying that was a good thing, but cabin fever will make you act crazy. But anyway, the nurses were really decent. There was one nurse. Of course, there's always going to be one that you just don't really care for. So this one nurse, she has such a bad attitude, and I really had to tell her on several occasions, boo, if this is not the job you really want, you need to find you something else to do, because dealing with mothers and babies, you need to like what you do. But some of the other ones, oh my God, when I tell you, some of those nurses were so good. They were so amazing. They were such great patient advocates. They were just absolutely amazing. And when it came to, if you needed something, it was a good experience as far as the nursing staff, for the most part. But of course I could say that right here too. And I'm a reporter too, so I will report your ass. And the one who was really nasty to me, or that I felt was really nasty, I did report her, and I told them that I don't want her touching me. I don't want her near me. She has a very bad attitude. Her energy sucks, and I don't need that in my life right now. I'm gonna be in here for a whole month. Tell her to stay away from me. So yeah, you got to be assertive. And on those times where I didn't have anyone there with me, you know, one of the things I learned is that these people need to know that you have family. So one of the most important things was that when Renee came, she was able to speak to them in Tree. And so they understood that I have people who are American, and they know. And then I had some of my in-laws who came daily to check on us, or who came with my mom. And of course, they know I have Ghanaian family also. So it was important that they knew. And then one of my brother-in-laws, because of culture, and my husband wasn't there, one of my brother-in-laws, it was of course up to him to make sure that I was okay. So he would come and check on me often. And his other brother's wife's brother worked at Fort 37. So they called him and let him know that I was there, and he also would come. He was a commander also, and he would come and check on me often. In Ghana, everything is about who you know. So once they saw that commander coming in there with those stripes and all this decoration on his suit, a lot of attitudes changed in how they treated me. But overall, the staffing situation was good during the day. The night staff was a hot mess. Excuse my language. Is Mama Carol still on here? Can I cuss? Excuse my language. Them MFs was horrible at night. Like, on so many occasions, I saw women go into labor and have their babies in the room with me. So this one particular lady, it was late o'clock in the morning, and she was pacing up and down the little corridor, and the nurses was just like, oh, she having a baby. I'm like, but we high risk, so you're not more concerned about her having her baby right now than anybody else? So this lady, next thing I know, I'm laying there, I can barely sleep anyway, so I look over and the lady is like squatted down over her bucket. I'm like, what is she doing? The lady was squatted down over her bucket. So I get up and I go to the nurse's station and I'm like, look y'all, this lady in here squatted down over this bucket. She trying to push this baby out in this bucket. I really can't see all of that. I really need y'all to come get this lady and this baby and come on. So by the time I get back in the room, the lady's still over there squatted down. It took them a minute. I literally had to go back out there. Mind you, this late o'clock in the morning. I had to go back out there to get them to come on. So they come on. They see the lady, then another lady. They mosey on out, go get a wheelchair. By the time, they said by the time they got to what they call the theater. The theater is like the where you go and have your baby. No, Kai, I know squatting is good and yeah, it's great, but I don't need you squatting and having your baby right here and you're in a high risk situation and you can be dead in front of me in a few minutes. So her squatting wasn't the issue. The issue was she was having her baby and somebody needed to be in there with her who could medically help to treat her. So they came, by the time literally the lady was back in 30 minutes. They took her to go have the baby, and in like 30 minutes, they was back. She was holding her baby. And okay, y'all, one thing I realized is, man, these African ladies are so damn strong. I loved, like, that was one of the highlights of that whole stay, was just seeing how that lady had her baby. 30 minutes later, she was up, walking around like nothing had happened. I was like, wait a minute, you need to sit down somewhere. You just had an experience. Like, your blood pressure was through the roof, and her issue was her blood pressure. And the blood pressure was the reason why she was in the room with us. So I was afraid that her going into labor right now with no one in here, that her blood pressure could skyrocket and she could go into some kind of critical situation. So that was the reason why remember, I said from the beginning, the ward that I was in was a room. It was 9 of us that were all high risk. All of us were in the room were high risk. Nobody was in there because they was just having a baby. Everybody could die in the midst of having their baby. That's why we was in there. So she was up doing her thing. She ended up still staying for a few days because they couldn't get her blood pressure down. So, you know, it did take them, it took a while to get that lady's blood pressure under control, even after she had the baby. So that was her. Then there was another lady who came in, and she was in the midst of having her baby. Now this was traumatic for me. Now I worked in the ER for 11 years. I worked in Grady ER for 3 years, and then I worked in children's. I worked at Hugh Spalding ER for another 8 years. So I've seen my share of stuff, and being in the position that I was in, I had to see a lot of stuff. So blood and guts and brains and all of that, none of that stuff bothers me. With my background, I was a biology student, pre-med major, biology minor. I was planning to go to medical school, and it was I've seen a whole lot, but baby. So this other young lady, she comes in, and she's again another high risk woman. She's being brought into the room, and the situation was that she was not I can't remember exactly what it was. It's been a while now, but I think the baby's heart rate was down, or whatever the case may be. She was in there for a high risk situation. So she's telling them, look, this baby's coming like right now. Like, no, you need to, we're gonna get you some things to calm you down, gonna help you get relaxed, and you'll be here for a few days, and then you'll probably have a baby. Well, no, that wasn't quite the situation. Now, mind you, there's no dividers in between us. Everything was just a big open room with 9 beds in it and 1 bathroom. Well, a shower stall and a toilet, a water closet. This lady is in so much pain. Like, you could see the stress and pain all over her, and they're telling her they were so, of course, the men doctors. Ooh, honey, the men doctors. They were like, oh, you need to calm down. You need to relax. Yeah, you're just having a baby. But how you tell a woman she just having a baby? You can't push no baby. So what you talking about? You're just having a baby. The baby's not coming right now. They keep telling this lady the baby's not coming right now. She's like, this baby is coming right now. The lady on the other side of her, like the opposite side, her face was turned towards me. The other lady, her ass was turned towards the other lady. Honey, this lady was startling. Hey, it's something coming out. Oh my gosh. She was like, I don't know if she having a boob, if she shitting. Ghanaians say shit a lot. They just say shit. So I don't know. I think she's shitting. So the damn doctor come in there. One of the young doctors come in. He's like an intern. No, he was a fellow. He comes in and he looked, and he's like, he's trying to figure out, what is that? I'm like, why's your face like right here? But next thing you know, he's running out to go and try to get some stuff, because there's no going back now. She's gonna have the baby right here. They wasn't listening to that lady. Now she's having a baby right now. And the other lady, she's sitting there like, she just seeing all of this, because the lady's butt is turned towards her. So she just seeing it all just happening. I'm like, oh my God. So she had her baby. They took her to the theater to get them cleaned up and get everything together, and then brought them back a few minutes later, and it was yeah, she had another one, had a baby. Then that same night, another lady had a couple nights later, Another lady came in. She was pacing up and down, and I looked. She was sitting next to me, and I looked at her, and I'm like, "Are you bleeding?" So I get up and I go to the nursing station. I'm like, "Yo, this lady in here bleeding, man. Y'all need to come get her." And what made me notice the blood was I smelled it first. I was like, I smell blood. And then I looked over, and she's standing there, and there's like blood running down her leg. And she's just cleaning it up. I'm like, no, that is not the move, boo. You need to go to the theater. So what happens? The nurse comes in. And now, mind you, I don't watch this lady. She's been pacing up and down for at least 2 hours. That happens. I see the blood. Now we got a situation going. By this time, the doctors are in the building, and they come and they're telling her, "Hey, we need to go. We need to take you to the theater for a cesarean. Like, we need to get this baby out right now." She is terrified, but they're talking to her so hard. Like, "You need to do it." And I'm like, whoa. So this is, I don't know how to mind my business. So I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, y'all. She's scared. She is terrified. You don't see her face. Her family hasn't made it here yet. She's been trying to call her husband. She hasn't been able to get anybody on the phone. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's up. So she's scared. She didn't want to do it by herself. So they just, and I'm telling, and of course it's men again. So I'm like, listen, hold on. You go out. Let me talk to her. So I let the situation calm down for a few minutes. And I asked her, I said, "Ma'am, do you understand English?" And she says, "Yes, I do." I said, "Listen, you're bleeding. And you can die. Your baby can die. You need to let them go ahead and see you. They need to go ahead and take care of you. I know you want to wait on your husband and your mother and everybody, but it may be too late when they get here. So you need to," I'm like, "you gotta think," I'm like, this is a decision. I know it's a fast decision you gotta make, but you gotta make it. And you need to make it quickly. Do you want to die? And she's like, "No, I don't, but I'm scared." I'm like, "I know you're scared. I know you are. I have to have a cesarean myself, and I'm not happy about it. I'm terrified, but I have to do what's going to save me and my baby." So the doctor comes back in, and I'm like, she's going to do it. She's going to do it. So she tells the doctor that she wants to call her husband first. So they called her husband. They got him on the phone. Thank God. They got him on the phone. And of course she wants to consult with her husband first. And I'm like, yeah, she need to talk to him. But hopefully he'll tell her, "Hey, go ahead and do it." So yes, of course, that's what happens. The husband is like, "No, don't wait for me. I'll be there. I'm coming. You go ahead." So I tell the doctor, "Just leave the paper with me," because he was being so aggressive that he was making her scared. So I said, "Just leave the paper. Leave the paper." He leave the consent form, and she's like hesitant. She'll start to sign it, then she'll stop. She'll start to sign it, then she'll stop. And finally I said, "Listen, every minute that you wait is a minute that you could lose your life. So I need you to calm down. They're going to take care of you. Sign the paper, please. Please sign the paper so they can go ahead and go." So she finally signed the paper. Soon as she signed the paper, her husband walked in. I'm like, "Thank you, God, so much." The husband walked in, the mama walked in. They come in with the chair. They take her, hurry up, take her out, go to the theater, get her set up. She come back sometime later. Man, I'm telling y'all, if these ladies got to be the strongest ladies ever. It was not. She came back. The medicine, of course, you had to give the medicine a chance to go out, get out of her system. By the time the medicine was out of her system, good, that lady was up and walking around, doing her thing. I was like, lady, you just got cut up and sent out somewhere. Anyway, it was, the experience was quite interesting. They did have technology that I didn't expect them to have. They had the is it called a Doppler? The thing that you put around our waist to check the baby's heart rate. They had those, but they also used that really old school one that's like a little cylinder, not a cylinder, but it's kind of like a cone with a thing, like a little circle on the end, and they put it to their ear and put it to your belly. I can't remember the name of it, but they use that most of the time. That's what the nurses would use to check the heart rate. It was interesting. They did that several times a day. They would come around and check everybody's baby's heart rate, check the mom's blood pressure, and make sure you take your medicine. Like if you were on any, like I had the first couple of days, I had to take steroids to develop the baby's lungs, because as soon as the baby's lungs were developed, they were going to, I was going to have my baby at 36 weeks. So they gave me the steroids so it would help to speed up the development of the lungs. And but every day they came and made sure we took our medicine. I also had to take iron because my iron was really low. So they had these, I didn't take pills, they had these little liquid vials that I would take to you know, get my iron up. And they were serious about making sure you took that medicine and make sure you was all right. Like every day they would come in, they would literally check your bag of medicine to make sure you had the medicine and make sure that you had been taking it. And then the doctors would come behind them and check to make sure you had your medicine and make sure you have been taking it. Like they actually kept a little chart that said how much medicine you have had and how much you have left. So that was pretty cool to know that they was making sure that you did what you were supposed to do. The medicine. Now the medicine was a whole other thing. We had to buy the medicine. Was a very expensive part of being in the hospital, and we spent. My mom estimated for that month she probably spent like maybe 1,000 CDs or more in just medicine. Which some of that stuff I ended up not even using it all or needing it all. But you know, it was what it was. If they told us we needed it, we got it. Another thing is the insurance situation. They do have national health insurance in Ghana. And if you're there, if you're a foreigner, you can get, if you can qualify somehow, I think it's if you're a resident or something like that, you can get the national health insurance card and get like a discount on your medical fees. But Ghanaian citizens get they can get their national health insurance card and get treatment like we would. It's kind of like Medicaid, so it works. It works well for a lot of people, and they end up not paying a lot, but you still have to pay. You still have to buy your medicine. So that was a good little tidbit I learned while I was there. What else? My surgery. I had surgery on February 29th, 2016. And thankfully, I had a good support system. I had Mimi was there, Renee was there, my mom was there. And the doctors were absolutely amazing. The surgical team was phenomenal. Like, they were amazing. So this is how it went. Got up that morning. I was the first person that they took in for surgery. Because a few of us were having C-sections that morning. So the C-section, they came, got me, put me on the stretcher, and took me to the theater. And I get to the theater, and the nurse who took me, it was not she was a nurse student. The nurse student who took me to the theater, there was a form that she had to fill out, like my allergies and what was going on and my name, you know, all of the vital things that they needed to know while I was going into my operation. When we got to the door, when I tell you I was so impressed with this surgical team, we get to the door and there's a nurse standing there waiting. The nurse, they're going to basically trade off. So she's looking over the checklist, and she's a veteran, of course. So she's looking like, why didn't you fill this out? Why didn't you fill this out? What is she allergic to? Well, she started asking her all these questions, and she's like, absolutely not. Everything on this form has to be filled out. I will not take a patient and not know what I'm, getting. So she schooled her a little bit and was like, you don't bring a patient to the OR or to the theater. I don't say to the OR. You don't bring a patient to the theater without filling this form completely out. So they got the form completely filled out. One of the female doctors came out to check my my checklist, and she asked me, because I'm allergic to Augmentin, and she was asking me what happens when you take Augmentin. And I was like, well, my mouth just gets really watery, and I've never letting it go further than the watery part. I've gone ahead and pop me a Benadryl and get it over with. So my bag of medicine that my mom had to go and get the day before, the doctor's going through the medicine, because you have to bring everything. So my medicine, the stuff that they needed for me in the OR, including my IV bags and all of that stuff, my mom had to go to the pharmacy. Like, they wrote it all down, and then my mom had to go and buy those things. So once I was standing in front of the theater, the doctor, she was going through my bag and checking all of the things that they needed for me to go into the theater to be sure that I had everything. So she checked one of the medicines, and the main antibiotic that they needed me on was a derivative of Augmentin. And she was like, what the she went off. She's like, who wrote for this medicine? And as my fellow who had been treating me the whole time, she was such a sweet doctor. She's gonna be great. But she made a mistake. She didn't write in my chart that I was allergic to Augmentin. She didn't write it where it needed to be. It was in her notes, but she didn't write it where the surgery team needed it. So she had to go and find another medicine they had to write for another medicine. She had to go and find my mom. My mom had to go and get my mom, she didn't even get, my mom did, from what my understanding, she went and got the medicine herself, and my mom had to go and pay for it or whatever. But they got me all checked in, and once they rolled me into the door, oh my God, my nerves kicked in so high. Oh my God, I had never been that nervous in my life, and they were so good. So one of the male doctors, they're all walking around the room, they're getting ready to take me into the actual operation room, but we're standing outside the door, and they're rechecking my medicine again, they're rechecking everything. Like, when I tell you they were thorough, these people were so thorough. One of the guys, he came, and of course everybody's speaking tree or God or something, so I don't know what's going on, which is what really made me nervous, because I couldn't understand what was going on. So I started crying. Like, literally my hands was shaking, my feet was shaking, literally I was a ball of nerves. And one of the doctors came over and he says, "What's wrong?" And I say to him, "Look, I don't understand what nobody's saying." Oh my God. And then I just broke out, and he was like, "Okay, I understand what's going on with you. You're nervous. This is your first time having a cesarean section. It is something to be nervous about, but what I need you to do is calm down. You have to calm down, because when we get this medicine and we start pushing it, there's a certain amount of time that the medicine is supposed to go through your system. But if your adrenaline is on high and you're already going, when we put the medicine in, we can't calculate how long the medicine will last, and we don't need your medicine to run through your body faster than we can do the surgery." So I'm like, I'm trying to calm down, but I don't understand. Like, everybody's speaking tree. I don't understand, and I don't know, and everybody's running around. Why are they running? What happened? Why are they running? He was like, "Just calm down." Okay, so he decided, the female nurse who checked the stuff outside the door, she came and she talked to me, and she's rubbing my head, and she's like, "Just calm down. I know this is a lot, but I need you to calm down." And another female doctor came over, and she was just like, "Okay, we just need you to relax." And they were just so good, but I still could not relax. So they decided right then, they said, "Listen, we're gonna have to put you out. You're too nervous. We can't risk your life with your nerves." So he's like, "Usually we do a conscious sedation. I was like, "Yeah, I worked in the ER. I understand conscious sedation." He's like, "But we can't do conscious sedation with you. We're gonna put you all the way out." He's like, "I just can't risk it. So understand now." They brought me a little piece of paper for me to sign, another form saying that I agree to them putting me under. He's like, we can't risk it." And then I found out he was the lead surgeon, and he just wasn't comfortable with me being so nervous and with me being conscious. He's like, "I don't need you to be conscious and seeing everything and hearing everything that's going on, and you still nervous. So we're just gonna put you all the way out. Are you okay with that?" I was like, "Please do. Yeah, just go ahead and put me out, because I'm out of control right now." So finally they take me into the theater, which is the OR, and we get into the OR, and I'm pleasantly surprised, because honestly, one of the biggest things was, I'm like, what kind of butcher shop are they about to take me into, and what kind of tools they gonna confused. Like, I don't know what happened to me, but I had this image of like they gonna have like a big machete or something to cut my belly open. Like, I was a hot mess. So when I was like, and the first thing I said was, "Oh, this look like our OR." It looked just like our OR. It was, the walls was completely tiled. It just looked like one of our ORs. And I was like, oh. And I was like, oh, it looked like our OR. And they started laughing. And one of the ladies said, what were you expecting? I was like, I don't know what I was expecting, but I'm relieved to know that it looked like one of our ORs. And I could see the tools I was familiar with. Like, I was familiar with everything. So that helped me, but I was still really nervous. So they put me on the operating table. I got my arm stretched out. Now, mind you, I forgot to mention that the entire time that I was in the hospital, the entire month, I had 2 lines. I had one line for if I needed IV fluids or if they needed to take blood or something. And then I had a second line for if I started to bleed out, they could give me blood. So they didn't have to find a line. They always kept me with a line. They would change it every few days and give me a new line. And it was bad because it's hard to get a line in me. So it was me having 2 lines was hard. I had a line in each hand. That was a mess. So anyway, we get into the operating room. They had to replace my my transfusion line. And of course they were doing it just in case. They wanted to make sure I had a clear line and that it wasn't blocked. So they gave me a new transfusion line. The other line was fine. And then the anesthesiologist was a female, which I was happy to see. She came in and she sat down next to me, and she started talking to me, and she's telling me about the medicine, what she was going to give me, and how it was going to make me feel, and how it would affect the baby, and what after I came out of sedation, how I would feel, and what the baby would. She was explaining to me how the baby would be responding for the next few days, which I was happy to hear her actually explaining it to me instead of like one of the nurses explaining it to me. The actual anesthesiologist explained it to me right before she put me under. So that was a pleasant experience also. Then I had 2 women sitting on each side of me, and they were talking to me, trying to get me calmed down. And they was like, even though we're putting you under, we really need you to be as calm as possible, even once we put you under. Because although you'll be under, your brain is still working. So let's try to get you calmed down. So they even did some little breathing exercises with me, like, okay, just breathe. Just breathe. And like the anesthesiologist, she was just like, just breathe. Just try to calm down as much as you possibly can. And then she gave me the countdown. She was like, I'm going to push the medicine in just a minute. And then the next time you see us, you'll be on the other side in the recovery room. Okay? And I was like, and it was just such a little, the atmosphere inside the OR was just so calm, and so everybody spoke with such a nice voice, and they were so calming, and this is a good experience. I ain't lying to y'all. Next thing I know, I'm gone. I wake up, I'm sitting in another little room, and I'm just like, whoa, what happened? Where's my baby? And I had to go through that, you know, that short recovery period before they take you to the, what you call it, back to the room. Went back to the room. Next thing I know, I see Renee. After I wake up, the first face I see was Renee. See Renee's face, and I'm just like, thank God. Thank God. Yo, let me tell y'all about Renee. This lady is like, she'll never, ever, ever be able to get rid of me. When I tell you she was my champion, I can't even tell y'all how much, like, I'm really fighting back tears right now. She was so good to me in this time. She literally was changing me. I couldn't move because they put me, when they put me under, they put me under. She was literally taking the stuff that they had up under me, rolling it from up under me. Because she knows how to do all of that. So she rolled it, pulled it up under me, like made me lift up just a little bit, roll it up under me, and put the next one down. Like, child, this lady done seen everything. That's my boo right there. She's never getting rid of me. I don't care what happened. She could never get rid of me. But, she took very, very good care of me while I was in the hospital. Like, the nurses didn't have to do anything. The only thing she had them to do was, shit, they ain't have to do nothing because she was there. So, they ain't do nothing. She just took care of me. She just did everything. This brings me to when, now I've had the baby. I didn't get to see the baby till like the next day or something because I was just gone. And they had to make sure that I was capable of actually handling her, make sure the medicine was completely out of me before they brought me the baby, because, you know, of course they didn't want me to drop her or anything like that because I was still in a sedated type of state. So they did. They did really well. Of course, they kind of pissed my mom and Renee off because they wanted to see the baby. And they were just kind of like... But they were pretty aggressive and got the lady to do what they were supposed to do. Now, it was the last few days, or the last day or so, that was the traumatic part for me. Now, one of the reasons that it was really bad was I came to find out that in my room was where the oxygen was. So there was an oxygen tank or oxygen, you know, the connection on the wall. The only one that was working in our ward was on the bed next to me. So the morning after I had my baby, I wake up, it's early in the morning, this lady comes in. There had been, that day before, there had been a shitload of women coming in to the hospital, and there weren't any beds. So it was like a slew of women just like kind of in the hallway waiting for beds. And there's one particular woman, she had been there since the night before, and she went into, I don't know if she was having an asthma attack or what, but something happened, and this lady came, they brought her into our room because that's where the oxygen was. There wasn't oxygen anywhere else but in that room. And They brought her in there and they were trying to get her to they were trying to get her calmed down, and because it wasn't time for her to have the baby and things was just going too fast. They weren't ready. They needed to get her in the theater. The theater wasn't ready. They needed to get some oxygen, and the only oxygen was in that room, so they rushed her into that room. Mind you, all of the older doctors were at home, so this was all young doctors who hadn't really experienced much yet. So they bring this lady in here, and of course the room of women was, everybody's watching because there's no dividers. They come in, they actually did bring a divider in to kind of cordon the little area off. They obviously knew that it was about to get really interesting. They actually had the whole team came in. They started bringing all of the stuff in from the OR, or as much as they could from, and mind you, the theater is way down the hall, so they're having to run back and forth. And I could literally see the baby moving in her belly every now and then, and she is literally leaving here. So it was so bad to a point where the priest came in, and the priest started praying over her, and I watched this lady. I watched her, she was facing towards me, and I watched her, and I've worked in ER for so long, and I could see that she was dying. I knew that she was gonna die. And then I became so angry because as she was dying, and I didn't see where, it was probably nothing that they could do at this point. It looked like they had done everything. They had done chest compressions. They had done everything that I think they could have probably done at that point. But they didn't try to save the baby, which is what bothered me. I didn't understand, and it, for the life of me, and I'm looking because I could see everything. Most of the women in the room, except me and the lady who was laying right next to me, nobody else could really see what was going on. I could see, and I understood what was going on. So I'm watching them, and I can see the metal bowl, and I can see the tools inside the bowl. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I had I wanted so bad to just grab the fucking scalpel and just cut her belly open and take that baby out of there, because I could see the baby still moving and the life was out of her, and they still had that window of opportunity to get the baby. They could have saved the baby, but they were young doctors who I don't think they really understood what, I don't think they understood that they could have saved the baby. They were so focused on the lady that they forgot about the baby. I really believe they forgot about the baby. And even after she was gone, there was a window of opportunity where they could have just take the baby. So now I'm thinking about this man This husband who's down there waiting, he has no idea what's going on. Now he's lost his wife and his baby. You could have at least saved his baby. That was a moment for me. Now, I had a lot of moments in that month that was shocking and appalling. So many things happened. We were in a room, the AC wasn't working half the time. I had to have somebody bring me a fan. The whole water, it was a few things that happened that it was just a lot for me. Mind you, my children, I had them at my last baby, I had at Piedmont Hospital in Atlanta in a mother baby suite and all of this stuff, and I went from that to this situation. And seeing that woman and the last, like, she died, of course, right there in front of me, and it was like that last breath in her, she kind of turned and looked at me, and it was like, and I may have just been all in my feelings, or I may have been overthinking it, but it looked to me like she was looking at me for help, and there was nothing that I could do. And it was really like she was saying, I could feel her just saying to me, like, do something. And I felt like I couldn't do nothing. There was so many people around. I just wanted to, like, push them all out of the way and just take the scalpel and just cut her damn belly open and take that baby out of there. Because she was gone. And the baby, that baby didn't have to die too. But anyway, that was very, very traumatic for me, which led to my outburst. Renee got to see a side of me that only very close friends with me get to see. That morning, after the lady was, first of all, the lady was in the room with us for a while. And one of the nurses, she wasn't doing well with the lady just dying like that either. And she literally came into the room and was begging for her spirit to come back into her. I think that's the part that made it even more tragic for me, because I watched this lady literally beg for this woman to not leave her husband and her family. She was literally begging her, please, please, please. Whew, sorry, y'all. I haven't been able to talk about this. This is the first time outside of talking to Renee about it that I've actually talked about it. So, it's tough. But yeah, so this nurse is literally praying. She's begging all of the gods to please just give her back. Just give her back. And of course, she was all the way gone. So, at this point, I'm upset. Everybody, the whole room's quiet. Nobody's really saying anything. It took them a minute, of course, to get her out of there because the family's in the hallway. And because I work in healthcare, I do know that you can't just immediately move a body. That there has to be some, but they didn't. I just didn't like the way it was handled. And to see that baby, I could see like those last little movements, because she was fully pregnant. So that was the kind of, she was at the point, and she was small, so you could see her. Anytime, any movement the baby made would be something you could see. So seeing that, I was like, oh, I'm leaving today. I'm not staying another night. Because I was supposed to stay one more day. I'm not staying here no more. So I called my mama and Renee, and I told them, y'all need to get up here right now, or else I'm taking a cab home. So I started packing my stuff, and the nurse was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm getting ready to go. Y'all really think I'm gonna sit up in here? Y'all done let this lady die? Y'all done let that baby die? Y'all think I'm gonna sit up in here? No. Nope. I'm leaving. I done had my baby. I'm good. Y'all ain't gotta watch me no longer. I'm about this bitch. So the attendant, the attendant came in. He had made it in at the last. He came in from home at the end of the whole ordeal. He pretty much missed it by like minutes. And he was fussing because he was like, why didn't y'all call me earlier? And of course, me listening to and kind of understanding some, I knew he was angry because he knew that if he was there, he could have saved her or the baby. So they had him come to talk to me to try to calm me down. And I told him, I said, listen, and because I've had a conversation with him before. I was like, you was in the States for 18 years. You know that there would have been no way that I would have experienced something like this there. I said, and I also worked in the ER for 11 years. I know that they could have saved that baby. I know that. So the fact that your team didn't have sense enough to go ahead and cut that, she was dead. They should have cut her fucking belly open and took that baby out of there. And he was like, I need you to calm down. You're right. But I wasn't here. It's my fault. He actually took responsibility. He said it was my fault. I should have been closer. I should have stayed closer last night. But I didn't know that I had a patient here that was in that kind of situation. And I'm dealing with that. He's like, but you know, in healthcare, we lose patients. I said, but you don't lose a patient, a baby, and a mother in a room full of pregnant women. You don't do that. They're already high risk, and they have allowed a room full of women who are high risk to watch a woman die. Like, they already high risk. Now they dead. Now they done seen this lady die. How do you think that's gonna make their situation? And he's like, you're right. This was completely handled the wrong way. He's like, unfortunately, this was the only oxygen that we had available overnight. And now, mind you, he didn't know that the nurse had told me earlier that they didn't have, they were waiting for some oxygen to come in or something, that in that ward, they didn't have any, they didn't have a lot of oxygen, left. So they took me first because which pissed me off. They took me first because they knew they had enough oxygen to at least do my surgery. So that pissed me off. I'm like, what about the women? There were at least 3 other women that I knew in my room that had to have surgery that day. What about those women? What about the oxygen that they needed? What if I needed more oxygen than y'all expected me to need and y'all didn't have enough for them? What was going to happen to them? So now my anger was, why the hell? This is the military hospital. I know y'all have oxygen in other places. And because I had seen, when remember, I've been there for 30 days. So I have seen a lot in 30 days. I seen a lady standing in the bathroom, standing in the bathroom, butt ass naked, squat down, having a baby. I've seen a few babies born in this month. So, I was like, y'all know we all have to have surgery. It was several of us who had to have surgery. So why y'all ain't got no oxygen in the building for us? Go to them other wards and get some oxygen. So by the time Renee and my mama got there, I'm like, look, let's go. I'm not staying here, not a minute longer. Start taking my shit out. So Renee she didn't even say nothing. She just was like, look, calm down. I'm taking your stuff to the car. She started taking my stuff to the car. They taking a long time. My mama trying to stall Renee trying to stall because my mama trying to get everything situated. And I'm like, y'all motherfuckers don't understand. I'm finna leave. I was going to get in a cab. Y'all can finish up whatever y'all need to finish up. I'm about to go. So thanks to Renee, she was like, Renee was like, yo, you gotta calm down. Because at this point, I wasn't feeling no pain. I wasn't feeling no nothing. I just wanted to get the hell away from there. And everything just went downhill from there. Like, I was just ready to fucking go. And, you know, seeing that and seeing and hearing that, the grief when they told that man that that woman and that baby was gone, hearing that man scream like that, hearing the pain in that man, I was like, man, fuck y'all. I'm out of here, man. I can't do this. I can't do this. I cannot do this. It was just a bad situation. Like, it was they needed some things for those women. And then of course, it's a military hospital. I know they had oxygen in the hospital, and it's a big place, so there was oxygen there. But let's keep it real. Ghana is a very male dominated a place, and I just think it wasn't important to have enough oxygen there for the women. So that was really what I think was the issue. All in all, I got home. Renee stayed with me for a week, and everything was all good. But the Facebook is giving me a notification that I've been on here for too long. So I'm gonna wrap this up, and I just wanted to share my experience. Renee was able to see my incision. She said that they did a really good job. She had never seen an incision done so well. So my actual surgical procedure was really good. My experience before that morning was really good. Then I got the hell on out of there, and it was all good. So maybe one day I'll talk about the whole having the baby there and the process of getting the passport and the birth abroad certificate and the things that you have to do afterwards. I'll do another video about that one day, because this has gotten so long. I don't even know how long I've been talking at this point. But I thank y'all for tuning in. I plan to start doing more videos, like maybe once every 2 weeks or once a month. I want to kind of dedicate some time to actually talking about actual issues, real life stuff, because I noticed that so many times people talk about the ideological things of living in Ghana. We need to be talking about realistic shit. So that's what I want to do. I want us to, that's why this group is here, for us to talk about the real life in Ghana, and not that ideological stuff. So thank you all for tuning in and helping me get past. I really needed to. I feel much better after, now that I've gotten that off, because I've been holding that in for a while. I had a little breakdown after that, like a few days in. I'm glad Renee was there with me, because I had a breakdown, because every time I closed my eyes, I would see that lady's face laying there looking at me like, bitch, help me. So it was a traumatic experience. I'm glad I was finally able to share it. As you can see, that's the reason why I've had such a hard time actually talking about it or explaining what things were like, because the ending part of it was so dark that I still was having a hard time processing what I saw and what I witnessed. So thank you all. I love you ladies. Peace.